Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Sorceress deck profile for post-Destined Showdown. The first of the Ketter's Sanctuary deck that we got alongside Bastion was the Hexaorb Sorceress deck, a deck that focuses on being able to know the top cards of your deck to reveal either front or critical triggers, and we got some new support in ZBTO4 or Destined Showdown for this deck, being one of the first, if not the first, Keter Sanctuary deck that I built and still have to this day. I'm very happy with the new support, and we have so much Sorceress / Hexaorb support that definitely does help with just the different combinations you can do for cards for the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the ride deck, we have the standard energy generator with our starter being Tri-Connect Sorceress. When wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Tier Square Sorceress. When wrote upon by Pentagleam Sorceress, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card. So just draw power for the deck with our grade 2 Pentagleam Sorceress. When wrote upon by Hexaorb Sorceress, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them on the top of your deck in any order, so it's set up for more of your other cards to be ready for triggers as well. We are running the original Hexaorb Sorceress in the ride deck. When you drive check reveals a trigger unit, choose one of your rear guards. It gets +10 till end of turn. And on the Vanguard, once per turn, if you Persona Road this turn, it doesn't really play much for the rest of the deck, because when we Persona Ride, we will be Persona Riding with Hexaorb Sorceress Aquamarine. So the reason we run the original Hexaorb Sorceress in the ride deck is because we need the main ability for this card, which is the fact that it's also regarded as Hexaorb Sorceress. And then if you Persona Road this turn, this card gets drive +1 and increase your trigger effects by +10,000. So this card will need a Persona Ride for its main ability to begin with. So you might as well have one additional grade 3 in your main deck and just have the original one in the ride deck, so you can just Persona Ride on top of it. And also, when a trigger unit is revealed for the drive check of the battle of this unit attacked, so blast 1, choose one of your rear guards and stand it. So you can have your multiple attacks plus a drive +1 and more of a pressure having one additional grade 3 to be able to go into the Persona Ride to begin with. Having the soul power needed to just be able to withstand your rear guards. If you know what's coming for your trigger lineup, you can attack with both your rear guards, then attack with your Vanguard, knowing that you'll at least get 2 or 1 trigger units to then restand those units. For the grade 2s, we run 4 copies of Octaray Sorceress. When it's placed on rearguard, if you have a grade 3 grade Vanguard Sorceress in its card name, counterblast 1, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose up to 2 cards from among them, put them into your hand, put the rest on the top of your deck in any order. If you put 2 cards in your hand, choose a card from your hand and put on the bottom of your deck. So it gives you hand consistency, but it's mostly meant to check the top cards of your deck to see what is on the way for cards, and any of them you don't need on the top of your deck, being able to put into your hand. And during the battle this unit attacked, if you Persona Road this turn, it gets +5,000 power. So along with the trigger power, it has enough power on its own to also just be able to hit into your opponent's Vanguard. We're also running 3 copies of Delta Append Sorceress when it's placed on rear guard from hand. If you have a grade 3 grade Vanguard Sorceress in its card name, counterblast 1, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose a card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the top or bottom of the deck. If you Persona Road this turn, choose up to 1 critical or front from your hand, reveal it, and put it on the top of your deck. So there is another card that I like for the add back power that works very, very well with Delta Append Sorceress, and that is our Changing Magic Memu Ruru, which gives us more of a recycle option for our criticals and fronts for us to be able to have into our hand to then use with Delta Append Sorceress if we don't have one to begin with. The new grade 2 that we're running for the deck is Proud Familiar Kurakaminya. When this card is placed on rear guard, if you have a Vanguard Sorceress in its card name, look at the top card of your deck and put it on the top deck or into the soul, which the soul power can definitely help with soul blast power that we may need for Hexaorb Sorceress Aquamarine. And on the rear guard circle, once per turn, if you have a Vanguard Sorceress in its card name, discard a card from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If the reveal card has Sorceress in its card name, put that card into hand. So this card can just help to reveal a number of different sorceresses that we are running in the deck, adding them to our hand and clearing them from the top card of the deck. So the good majority of the cards we run for the trigger lineup do not have Sorceress in their card name. So if we reveal a non-trigger card, it can at least stay on the top card of the deck also. And also, we are running 2 copies of Four-Side Glow Sorceress. For the Soul Blast power, it is a counter charge when it's chosen by the ability of our Sorceress and its card name Vanguard. So we have to use Soul Blast to do so. That's why I'm only running 2 copies of this card, because it could easily deplete the soul we need for our Vanguard's restand power, and it also has draw power behind it. And lastly, for the grade 2s, 2 copies of Quadra Cast Sorceress. When it's placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard Sorceress in its card name, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put them on the top of your deck in any order, and soul charge 1. So getting clear, if you put them on the top of the deck in any order, make sure you put the non-trigger first, because that'll be the card that you soul charge off of Quadra Cast Sorceress. For the grade 1s, we're running 4 copies of the new Hexaorb Saturate Sorceress. When it's placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Sorceress and its card name, bless 1, search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 card with Hexaorb in its name, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle the deck. So this is just a straight up source for searching out the grade 3 Hexaorb Sorceress Aquamarine, which we definitely need for the Persona Ride power. You should always have a copy of Aquamarine in your hand to be able to Persona Ride with. The deck is severely weakened if you do not Persona Ride. That's why we're running the max number in the main deck that we can, with the original Hexaorb Sorceress in the Ride deck, and 1 additional Persona Ride power in the deck, which we'll get to in just a bit. But other grade 1s include the 4 copies of Recurring Magic Lalarita. At the end of your drive check, if you revealed a trigger unit, if your Vanguard's Hexaorb Sorceress, bless 1, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your other rear guards, stand it, and retire this unit. So your Lalarita can help by at least giving you a second restand if your triggers did not have enough of the restand power to do so for your Vanguard. So just by retiring this unit, you can retire this card and then restand another rear guard to get your full potential attacks for 5 against your opponents. And also the 3 copies of Changing Magic Memururu. It doesn't have Sorceress in its name, sadly, but if you have a grade 3 or Vanguard Sorceress in its card name, you can retire this unit, choose a critical or front from your drop, and put it into your hand. So add back power as well for some of your other cards to be able to use in the deck. The big one being your Delta Append Sorceress, being able to use that card to place it on the top of the deck. When it's placed as well, being able to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and if you Persona Road this turn, choosing that critical from your hand. So you want to make sure you use your Memururu to add the trigger back, and then have that card needed for Delta Append Sorceress, then being able to use that setup useful with this card, or if not, you just have another card back from your drop into your hand to use as better guard resources. And then lastly, for the grade 1s, the 1 copy of Elementaria Sanctitude and the 3 copies of Aegis Mare Dragon for the Sentinel lineup, with the other order we run being Gradius Quartel. So this card just initiates Persona Ride, making it so we have the additional play for Aquamarine to have a Persona Ride option. We'll have 4 options for Persona Ride on top of the grade 3, and then the additional one with Gradius Quartel. So that's the full power to use for Persona Ride in the deck. For the trigger lineup, running 6 criticals, so 2 copies of White Fang Witch Disma and 4 copies of Shivalmia. Wanted to go for a balanced number of criticals to then use also with our fronts. I know I have the 1 Taxus Sorcerer, which could be problematic when you reveal it off the top of the deck, but I haven't seen it happen as often. And then the 4 copies of Alpaca for the additional 5k guard, with our heals being the 1 copy of Invigorate Sage, 1 Tier Sorceress, same premise with the front Sorceress card, and then the 2 additional heals. If you want to go full Palpitation Angel, you can do that as well. I haven't really seen much of an issue with it. With the over trigger being a Martinoa, with the restand power for our rear guards, if we do reveal the over trigger off of the Vanguard, there should always be the potential for our rear guards to be able to restand and have drive checks of their own thanks to them. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, plenty of decks got updated with the Destined Showdown, but wanted to update one of my favorite Keter decks with the new support that we received. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.